The sound of Mason's boots pounding down our wooden stairs made my heart skip. Not the usual lazy weekend shuffle, but urgent, almost frantic. I'd just finished my last client consultation of the day, and something in those footsteps told me our Friday night plans were about to change. "Riley, we need to pack, now." Mason burst into our home office, his face flushed. He was already wearing his coat, car keys dangling from his fingers. "Pack? What's wrong?" I closed my laptop, watching him pace. The afternoon sun caught his wedding ring as he ran his fingers through his hair, a nervous habit I'd noticed more frequently lately. "Mother called. There's been a pipe burst at the main house. The whole east wing is flooding." He started pulling out drawers, grabbing random items. "She needs us to move in temporarily while they repair the damage. It'll be easier to help manage things from there." I stood up slowly, processing his words. Clara's mansion had always been more fortress than home, and now he wanted us to live there? "How long is temporarily?" "A few weeks, maybe a month." He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Come on, we need to hurry. Logan's already there helping her salvage what she can." Of course Logan was there. Perfect, dependable Logan, who never missed an opportunity to play the dutiful son. I watched Mason stuffing clothes into a duffel bag, his movements jerky and uncertain. "Your mother has plenty of room in the West Wing," I said carefully. "Why doesn't she just move there while the repairs are done?" "Because she needs help, Riley." His voice carried an edge I rarely heard. "This isn't up for debate. We're going." I felt the familiar tightness in my chest whenever Clara was involved. "What about my clients? I have sessions scheduled here all next week." "Reschedule them. Work from Mother's home office. She's already said you're welcome to use it." He zipped up the bag with unnecessary force. "Please, just help me pack." I moved mechanically, gathering essentials while my mind raced. Something felt off. Mason's brewery was entering its busiest season. He'd been planning production schedules for weeks. Now, suddenly, he could drop everything to play handyman at his mother's house? My phone buzzed. A text from Diana. "Coffee tomorrow? Need to talk." I typed back quickly. "Rain check. Emergency move to Clara's. Call you later." Diana's response was immediate. "Clara's? What happened?" What happened indeed? I looked at Mason, now pulling suitcases from our closet. His shoulders were tight, his movements almost robotic. This wasn't just about a burst pipe. "Mason," I said softly, "what's really going on?" He froze for a moment, then continued pulling clothes from hangers. "Nothing's going on. Mother needs us, that's all." "Since when does Clara admit to needing anyone?" The words came out sharper than intended. "Especially me?" "Don't start." He turned, and for a moment I saw something in his eyes. Fear? Guilt? "Just, please, pack what you need for a month. We'll figure everything else out later." I nodded slowly, but my instincts were screaming. In the 3 years I'd known Clara, she'd never asked for help, never admitted weakness. Now, suddenly, she wanted us living under her roof? As I mechanically folded clothes into my suitcase, I caught my reflection in the bedroom mirror. The woman staring back looked composed, but I could see the uncertainty in her eyes. Something was shifting, something fundamental, and I had a feeling our temporary move to Clara's mansion would be anything but simple. Mason's phone buzzed. He checked it, his face tightening. "Mother's waiting. Are you ready?" I zipped my suitcase closed, the sound unnaturally final in our quiet bedroom. As ready as I'll ever be. What I didn't say was that I was ready for whatever game Clara was playing, because this wasn't about a burst pipe. This was about something else entirely, and I had a feeling I was about to find out exactly what that something was. Clara's mansion seemed to breathe disapproval with every creaking floorboard. I set up my laptop in her pristine home office, surrounded by awards and family photos where I didn't exist. 3 days in, and already the walls felt like they were closing in. "I trust you'll keep things orderly in here." Clara lingered in the doorway, her pearl necklace catching the morning light. "Some of these documents are quite valuable to the family history." "Of course," I said, arranging my client files. "I appreciate you letting me use the space." She glided closer, running a manicured finger across the mahogany desk. Mason mentioned you're some sort of fitness instructor? Personal trainer and nutrition coach, I corrected, keeping my voice level. I have my master's in sports science. How modern. Her smile didn't reach her eyes, though I always believed true ladies shouldn't pursue such physical occupations. Before I could respond, Logan appeared in the doorway, his architect's portfolio tucked under one arm. Mother, the contractors need your input on the East Wing repairs. Of course, darling. She touched his arm as she passed. Oh, and Riley? We dress for dinner here. Something appropriate, I trust. I waited until her footsteps faded before exhaling. My phone buzzed. A text from Diana. Surviving the dragon's lair? Barely, I typed back. Pretty sure she thinks I'm going to corrupt her precious family name with my physical occupation. Want to grab coffee? I can be there in 20 scene. I glanced at my schedule. Can't. 3 client calls this morning. Rain check? You can't hide in that office forever, came her reply. But I could try. I had just opened my first client's file when Logan reappeared, leaning against the doorframe with casual arrogance. Quite the setup you've got here, he said, eyeing my equipment. Though I'm surprised Mother allowed you to turn her office into a gym consultation room. It's temporary. I pulled up my client's progress charts. Just like the pipe repairs, right? He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Must run in the family. About that, the contractors found some structural issues. Could take longer than expected. My stomach tightened. How much longer? Hard to say. These old houses, you know? He straightened his designer tie. But don't worry, Mother loves having family close. Well, most family. The implied exclusion hung in the air like poison. I turned back to my laptop, refusing to take the bait. I should prepare for my call. Of course. He lingered a moment longer. Oh, and Riley? I noticed you've been using the garden path for your morning runs. Mother's quite protective of her roses. Might want to find another route. After he left, I sat perfectly still, listening to the house's hollow silence. My phone buzzed again. Mason. Stuck at brewery. Don't wait up for dinner. Perfect. Another evening of Clara's subtle jabs across her formal dining table, with Logan smirking behind his wineglass. I opened my calendar, counting the days we'd been here. Only 3. It felt like 3 years. A notification popped up. My first client waiting for their video call. I put on my professional smile, determined not to let this place affect my work. But as I began the consultation, I noticed my video was slightly blurry, the internet connection unstable. Sorry, I told my client. Let me check the connection. I pulled up the Wi-Fi settings. The signal was fine yesterday, but now it barely registered. I switched to my phone's hotspot, making a mental note to ask Mason about the internet later. Though something told me the weak signal in this particular room wasn't accidental. By evening, my suspicions were confirmed. 3 canceled client calls due to technical issues, a missing charging cable, and somehow my detailed client files had been accidentally moved to a different folder while I was at lunch. I stood at the window, watching the sun set over Clara's precious rose garden. In the reflection, I caught a glimpse of Logan passing by the office door, speaking quietly into his phone. He glanced my way, that same smug smile playing on his lips. Fine. If they wanted to play games, I could play too. But they'd soon learn I wasn't just Mason's wife, the fitness instructor they could push around. I was something far more dangerous. I was someone with nothing left to lose. My phone lit up with another text from Diana. Sure you don't need backup? I smiled, finally typing back. Actually, I think I do. Coffee tomorrow. We need to talk. The first sign something was wrong came when my client screamed through the video call. Oh my God, Riley, are you okay? I glanced at my image on screen and froze. Someone had edited my professional profile photo, subtly warping my features to make me look gaunt and sickly. The kind of manipulation that whispered eating disorder without saying a word. Technical glitch, I lied, quickly ending the call. But my hands shook as I checked my other social media accounts. Each profile photo showed the same subtle alterations. The timestamp showed the changes were made last night, while I was having another silent dinner with Clara. Diana's coffee shop was mercifully empty when I arrived. She took one look at my face and ordered us both double shots. "Look at this!" I showed her my phone. 3 clients canceled this morning. Said they're concerned about my approach to health and wellness. "Logan," Diana said immediately. "Has to be. He's the only one with the design skills to pull this off." "But why?" I wrapped my hands around the warm mug. "What does he get out of destroying my business?" "Control." Diana's photographer's eye studied my altered photos. "Clara's perfect son, watching his brother's common wife succeed, must be killing him." My phone buzzed. Mason again. "Late meeting, don't wait up." "When was the last time you two actually talked?" Diana asked softly. "Really talked?" "I don't know." I stared into my coffee. He's always at the brewery now, and when he is home, Clara needs him for something, or Logan has some crisis. "Speaking of Logan," Diana nodded toward the window. Outside, Logan was helping his partner Ethan into a car, their body language tense. Ethan pulled away from Logan's touch, his face tight with anger. "Trouble in paradise?" I murmured. "Ethan came to my studio yesterday for headshots," Diana said. "Let slip that Logan's been working late, taking mysterious calls. He thinks Logan's cheating." I watched Logan stand alone on the sidewalk, his perfect facade cracking just slightly. For a moment, he looked lost. Then he saw me through the window. His expression hardened instantly. Back at Clara's mansion, I found my office door locked. "For cleaning," the housekeeper said apologetically. My equipment and files were inside. I found Clara in her sitting room, arranging flowers. "Oh dear, was that today? I'm sure Logan has a spare key in his study. He'll be back this evening." "I have clients waiting," I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. "I can't just—" "Family comes first, Riley." She snipped a rose stem with surgical precision. "Though I suppose that's a difficult concept for someone of your background to grasp." I turned to leave, but her voice stopped me. "Oh, and I noticed you've been losing weight lately. Do try to take better care of yourself. We wouldn't want clients questioning your expertise." The pieces clicked together. The altered photos, the locked office, the whispered rumors. They weren't just trying to inconvenience me. They were systematically dismantling everything I'd built. In my bedroom, I pulled up my client list with trembling fingers. 3 more cancellations, 2 on hold to reassess their goals. My carefully built business was crumbling, and Mason was too busy with his precious brewery to notice. A notification popped up. Someone had tagged me in a post. A local fitness group where I often gave advice. The post was a concerned message about trainers promoting unhealthy behaviors, with my altered photos attached. Logan had liked it already. I closed my laptop and caught my reflection in the mirror. For a moment, I saw myself through their eyes. The outsider, the threat. The one who didn't belong in their perfect family portrait. Then I saw something else. The steel in my spine. The fire in my eyes. My phone buzzed. "Diana, you okay?" I thought about Logan's lost expression outside the coffee shop. About Clara's precise control over every detail. About Mason's constant absences. They thought they were destroying me, but they were showing me their weaknesses instead. "No," I typed back. "But I will be. Time to stop playing defense." Because now I knew the truth. This wasn't just about sabotaging my business. This was about power, control, and carefully guarded secrets. And if they wanted to play dirty, they'd learn I could dig up secrets too. Starting with whatever Logan was hiding from Ethan. Clara's annual charity gala was in full swing, the mansion's ballroom gleaming with old money and older secrets. I stood at the edge, watching Mason work the crowd while Logan hovered near the bar, checking his phone every few minutes. "Riley, darling." Clara materialized beside me, champagne in hand. "I do hope you're not planning to discuss your business tonight. Some of our guests are quite traditional about appropriate dinner conversation." Before I could respond, she'd already turned to a group of her friends. "Ladies, you remember Mason's wife? She's been staying with us since the renovation began, though I'm starting to wonder if we'll ever see the end of these repairs. Their laughter cut like glass. I caught Diana's eye across the room where she was photographing the event. She gave me a subtle nod. Everything was in position. Actually, I said, raising my voice slightly, I'd love to share some exciting news about my work. The room shifted, attention turning our way. Clara's smile froze. I'm launching a new wellness program, I continued, specifically designed for high-pressure corporate environments. In fact, several local businesses have already expressed interest. How entrepreneurial, Clara said, but I saw the flash of uncertainty in her eyes. This wasn't part of her script. Including the brewery, I added. Right, Mason? Mason looked up from his conversation, confusion crossing his face. We hadn't discussed this, hadn't discussed anything real in weeks. But before he could respond, Logan cut in. The brewery isn't exactly in a position to take on new programs right now, he said smoothly. Perhaps you haven't heard about the recent financial adjustments. Financial adjustments? I turned to Mason. You didn't mention any problems. The room had grown quiet, guests pretending not to listen. Mason's face flushed. It's nothing serious, just some temporary— Actually, Logan interrupted, as the brewery's financial advisor, I should point out that taking on additional expenses would be irresponsible right now. Financial advisor? The words hit like a physical blow. Since when? Oh, didn't Mason tell you? Clara's voice dripped concern. Logan's been helping with the books for months now. Such a blessing, having family you can trust with these things. I looked at Mason, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. Diana's camera clicked softly in the background, documenting every moment of my public humiliation. Well, I said, forcing a smile, then you'll be interested in these. I pulled out my phone, pulling up the documents I'd spent weeks gathering. Some fascinating transactions I found while researching the brewery's public records. Logan's phone slipped from his hand, clattering on the marble floor. What are you talking about? Large withdrawals, irregular payments, missing inventory records. I scrolled through the screenshots, all coinciding with your new advisory role. The room had gone completely silent. Clara's champagne glass trembled slightly. You've been investigating my son? Her voice was deadly quiet. No, I said, meeting her gaze. I've been protecting my husband's business, though it seems I'm the only one who has. Mason finally stepped forward. Riley, this isn't the time. When is the time, Mason? When the brewery goes bankrupt? When your brother finishes bleeding it dry? Logan lunged for my phone, but I stepped back. Careful, Logan. Ethan's watching the live stream right now, along with several business journalists who might find these records interesting. You wouldn't dare, Clara hissed. Try me. I looked around the room, at all the perfectly composed faces hiding their own secrets. I've got nothing left to lose. Can you say the same? The silence stretched like a wire about to snap. Then Mason spoke, his voice hollow. Logan, tell me she's wrong. Logan's face crumpled for just a moment before his mask slipped back into place. Mother, I can explain— Not here! Clara cut him off sharply. She turned to her guests with a practiced smile. Please, enjoy the music. Family matter to attend to. As she herded us toward her study, I caught Diana's eye again. She nodded, camera still rolling. Whatever happened next, we had evidence. Mason touched my arm as we walked. Why didn't you tell me? I looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time in weeks. Why didn't you? The study door closed behind us with a final click. Time to see who would break first. The video from Diana's camera played on my laptop screen, showing Clara's study from last night. Logan's confession, Mason's devastation, Clara's calculated damage control. I'd watched it 12 times since dawn, each viewing revealing new layers of their deception. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing. Messages from former clients, asking about my new online platform. The website Diana helped me build had gone live at midnight, right after the gala. Strength Through Adversity, a fitness program for women trapped in toxic family dynamics. My story, carefully edited, featured prominently. Clara appeared in my office doorway, still in her silk robe. Taking clients in person again? No need. I turned to the laptop so she could see the subscriber count climbing. Digital reaches more people, especially when they're sharing their own stories of controlling mother-in-laws. Her composure cracked, just slightly. You're using our family difficulties to promote yourself? Funny how you call embezzlement a family difficulty. I stood, matching her height in my workout shoes. Where's Logan? Trying to save what's left of his relationship with Ethan, no thanks to you. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Do you have any idea what you've done? Actually, I do. I pulled up the brewery's financial records. These numbers tell an interesting story. Want to hear it? Mason appeared behind his mother, looking like he hadn't slept. Riley, we need to talk. Now you want to talk? I kept scrolling through the documents. 3 months of missing inventory, 6 unauthorized wire transfers, all while you were too busy to notice your own brother stealing from you. It's complicated, he started, but I cut him off. It's really not. My phone buzzed again. Another subscription notification. Your mother convinced you to make Logan your financial advisor. He embezzled funds. You chose your family's reputation over the truth. Simple. Clara's hands gripped the doorframe. You have no right. I have every right. My voice stayed steady, even as my hands shook. I'm not just Mason's wife anymore. I'm a creditor. The brewery owes me money too, remember? All those personal loans I made to cover temporary shortfalls? Mason paled. Those were between us. Nothing's just between us anymore. I pulled up another document. I've filed for an audit, professional forensic accountants this time, not family members. You can't, Clara whispered. I already did. I turned back to my laptop, where another client testimonial had appeared. Oh, look, someone else sharing their story of financial abuse by trusted family members. How timely. Mason stepped forward. Riley, please. We can fix this privately. Like you fixed it by hiding Logan's theft? By letting him sabotage my business while he drained your accounts? The words tasted like acid. How's that working out for everyone? My phone lit up with the text from Diana. Ethan just left Logan, heading to airport. Clara must have seen something in my expression. What have you done? Me? I smiled, feeling something cold and certain settle in my chest. I just shared the truth. The rest of you did this to yourselves. This isn't you, Mason said softly. You're not vindictive like this. You're right. I closed my laptop, tucking it under my arm. The old me would have kept quiet, tried to fix things privately, protected the family image, but you all taught me better. I walked to the door, where they still stood blocking my path. After a moment, they moved aside, not out of courtesy, but because they finally recognized the look in my eyes. The same look they'd given me for months. Cold, calculating certainty. Where are you going? Mason's voice cracked. To my new office downtown. My business is expanding faster than expected. I paused in the hallway. Oh, and Clara? The contractors called. Apparently there never was any structural damage. Funny how these family difficulties work out, isn't it? I left them standing there, surrounded by their crumbling empire of lies. My phone kept buzzing with notifications. New subscribers, shared stories, women finding their own strength through my journey. Diana was waiting in her car outside. You okay? I looked back at the mansion, at the perfect facade hiding so much rot. No, I said honestly. But I will be. And them? I thought about Mason's broken expression, Clara's shattered control, Logan's destroyed relationship. They'll survive. That's the problem with survivors. We always do. Diana started the car. Where to? Forward, I said, feeling the weight of vengeance settle into my bones. Always forward. The forensic accountant's report landed in my inbox at 3 a.m. I sat in my new office, surrounded by empty coffee cups and Diana's photos from the gala, reading numbers that made my stomach turn. The brewery wasn't just in trouble. It was bleeding out. My phone lit up with Mason's name. Third call tonight. I let it ring, focusing instead on the document that detailed exactly how his brother had systematically drained the business dry. Each transaction bore Logan's digital signature, approved by Clara's oversight. A knock at the door made me jump. Diana stood there, camera in hand. "You look like hell." "Thanks." I gestured to my screen. "Want to see what destroying a family legacy looks like in spreadsheet form?" She set 2 fresh coffees on my desk. "Mason's outside." My hands froze over the keyboard. "What?" "In the parking lot. Has been for an hour." She hesitated. "He's drinking." I pulled up the security feed. There he was, sitting in his car, head bowed over the steering wheel. The same position I'd found him in the night he told me about his father's death, about the weight of carrying on the family business alone. "The audit goes public tomorrow," I said, more to myself than Diana. "Once the banks see these numbers, they'll call in the loans." She finished my thought. "And everything Clara built. Everything Logan stole," I corrected sharply. "Everything they tried to hide while destroying my reputation." My phone buzzed again. A notification from my fitness platform. Another surge in subscribers. More women sharing stories of family betrayal. My revenge was building its own momentum now, far beyond what I'd planned. Diana touched my arm. "Riley, when does it stop?" Before I could answer, the security feed showed Mason getting out of his car, stumbling slightly, heading for the building's entrance. "I should go," Diana said softly. "Unless you want me to stay?" I shook my head, eyes fixed on the screen. "I need to do this alone." Mason's footsteps echoed in the empty hallway. When he appeared in my doorway, I barely recognized him. His usual confident posture was gone, replaced by something hollow and desperate. "The bank called," he said without preamble. "They're reviewing our accounts." "I know." I kept my voice neutral. "That's what happens in an audit. Mother had a panic attack." He ran a hand through his disheveled hair. "Logan's missing. Ethan's lawyer sent divorce papers. And I need you to stop." His voice cracked. "Please, Riley, whatever point you're trying to make." "Point?" I stood up slowly. "Your brother stole millions. Your mother covered it up. They destroyed my business, my reputation, while you stood by and watched. This isn't about making a point." "Then what is it about?" He stepped closer, alcohol heavy on his breath. "Because the woman I married wouldn't do this. She wouldn't—" "The woman you married died the day you chose your family's lies over her truth." I pulled up the audit report. "Want to see exactly how much your loyalty cost? It's all here in black and white." He stared at the screen, at the numbers that spelled out his family's destruction. "I can fix this." "No, Mason, you can't." I turned back to my work. "The audit goes public in 6 hours. The banks will foreclose. The brewery will fold. And your perfect family will finally face consequences." "We'll lose everything," he whispered. "I already did." The words came out softer than I intended. "Months ago, when you moved us into that house, I lost my husband, my business, my self-respect, but I found something else." "What?" "Power." I met his eyes. "The same power your family used against me, only I'm better at it." His face crumpled, and for a moment, I saw the man I'd married. But then his phone buzzed, Clara's name on the screen, and his expression hardened into something familiar. Something that looked exactly like his mother. "You'll regret this," he said quietly. "Probably." I turned back to my computer. "But so will you." After he left, Diana's words echoed in my head. When does it stop? Looking at my reflection in the darkened window, at the stranger I'd become, I realized I no longer knew the answer. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from an unknown number. A photo of Logan, passed out in some distant bar. The brewery's financial records scattered around him. Below it, 2 words that made my blood freeze. He confessed. The game was changing again. And this time, I wasn't sure anyone would survive the fallout. The brewery's security lights cast long shadows across empty fermentation tanks as I followed the sound of breaking glass. Logan stood in Mason's office, methodically destroying everything he could reach. Family photos shattered against walls. Awards clattered to the floor, decades of history reduced to shards. "Quite the confessions you made last night," I said from the doorway. "The video's trending." He didn't turn around, just grabbed another frame from Mason's desk. "Come to gloat?" "Actually, I came to return these." I set a stack of documents on the desk. Loan agreements, transfer records, every piece of evidence I'd gathered. Originals. You'll need them for your lawyer. That made him pause. What game are you playing? No game, just wondering if it was worth it. I picked up a broken photo. Logan and Mason at the brewery's opening, Clara beaming between them. Destroying your brother to please your mother. You don't know anything about my family. His voice cracked on the last word. I know Clara made you feel like nothing was ever good enough, that Mason got the brewery while you got the expectations. I met his bloodshot eyes. I know what it's like to be the outsider she never accepted. Don't! He hurled the frame against the wall. Don't pretend we're anything alike. We're not. You had choices. I didn't. I pulled up the viral video on my phone. Logan's drunken confession, his slurred words damning himself and Clara. But now neither of us has anything left to lose. The office door creaked. Mason stood there, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Mother's been arrested. Logan's laugh was hollow. Perfect. Just perfect. Securities fraud, Mason continued. The board members pressed charges after seeing Logan's confession. They're investigating her role in covering up the embezzlement. I watched the brothers carefully, these men who'd been shaped by Clara's manipulation since childhood. She'll lose everything. We already have. Mason's voice was flat. The banks are foreclosing. The brewery's finished. Logan sank into Mason's chair, surrounded by the wreckage he'd created. I never meant... She said if I helped control the finances, proved myself worthy. She said a lot of things. I picked up another broken photo. My wedding day, before everything shattered. To all of us. Mason stepped closer, glass crunching under his feet. Why did you come here tonight? Because this has to end. I set my phone on the desk, the video still playing. Someone has to stop the cycle. By destroying us completely? Logan's laugh was bitter. Mission accomplished. No. I pulled up my fitness platform's homepage. By showing others they can survive it. Every woman Clara belittled, every relationship she poisoned, they're all finding their voice now. Your confession just gave them permission to speak. Mason touched the broken wedding photo. And us? What's left for us? Nothing. The truth hurt less than I expected. We're just cautionary tales now, examples of what happens when you let someone else's poison become your power. My phone buzzed. Diana, warning me that reporters were outside. The story was breaking nationally now, a viral sensation of family destruction and financial fraud. I should have protected you, Mason said quietly. From all of it. You should have protected yourself. I headed for the door, then paused. The forensic accountants found something else. Dad's original will, the one Clara helped you hide from Logan. Logan's head snapped up. What? The brewery was meant for both of you, equal partners. I left the document on the desk. Turns out Clara's been playing this game longer than any of us knew. The brothers stared at each other, years of manufactured competition crumbling between them. I left them there, surrounded by broken glass and broken trusts, and walked into the night where camera flashes were already starting to flare. Diana waited in her car. You okay? I looked back at the brewery one last time. My husband's legacy, my mother-in-law's weapon, my own instrument of revenge. No, but maybe that's the point. What do you mean? Some things have to break completely before they can be rebuilt. I touched my wedding ring, then slowly slipped it off. And some things should stay broken as reminders. The first reporters reached the brewery doors as we pulled away. Behind us, two brothers faced their mother's lies together for the first time. And somewhere in a police station, Clara was finally learning what it felt like to lose control. My phone lit up with another surge of followers, women finding strength in the wreckage of my revenge. I'd given them a voice, but at what cost? The answer would have to wait. Right now, there were still more truths to unveil, and the night was far from over. The mansion's auction drew a smaller crowd than expected. I watched from across the street as strangers picked through Clara's carefully curated life, each precious heirloom tagged with a price. Diana lowered her camera. You sure you don't want to go inside? Nothing in there belongs to me. I checked my phone. Another notification from my fitness platform. A woman sharing her story of breaking free from family control. Besides, I have a session to run. The headline caught my eye before I could look away. Brewery heir pleads guilty to fraud. Below it, a photo of Logan leaving court, Ethan notably absent. The comments section overflowed with stories of family betrayal, each one linking back to my platform. Riley? Mason's voice behind me. I hadn't heard him approach. The auction house needs your signature, I said without turning. Final dissolution of assets. I saw your TED Talk. He moved beside me, keeping careful distance, about toxic family dynamics and financial independence. Did Clara watch it from her cell? She's not allowed internet access. He paused. Logan's in therapy. Real therapy, not mother's kind. A crystal vase sold inside, the auctioneer's gavel echoing through open windows. I remembered Clara polishing that vase, telling me I wasn't worthy of its history. Your platform's helping people, Mason said softly. That counts for something. It counts for everything. I finally looked at him. That's what your mother never understood. Real power isn't about control. It's about impact. Diana's camera clicked, capturing the moment. She'd been documenting everything since the beginning, building an archive of destruction and redemption. My phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. Thank you for showing me the truth. Attached was a photo of him in his new studio, finally creating art without Logan's shadow. The brewery property sold, Mason said. New owners want to turn it into a community center. Counseling services, support groups. Fitting. I watched another box of Clara's treasures carried to a waiting truck. A place of healing built on the ashes of control. I never apologized, he started, but I cut him off. Duh, don't. I stepped back. We all made our choices. Now we live with them. Diana touched my arm. We should go. Your keynote speech. Right. I adjusted my blazer, power suit, not workout gear. My brand had evolved beyond fitness into something larger, something Clara had inadvertently helped create. You won, Mason said suddenly. Completely, totally. Was it worth it? I thought about my growing empire built on shared pain and recovery, about Clara's fall from grace and Logan's public redemption, about the thousands of women finding their voice through my story. Victory isn't the point anymore. I handed him the last document he needed to sign, our divorce papers. Understanding is. As we walked away, Diana showed me her latest photo. The mansion's facade reflected in shattered crystal, each piece catching light differently. For the book cover? Perfect! I glanced back one last time. Mason stood alone among his mother's broken legacy, holding our unsigned papers. My phone lit up with another notification, a message from a familiar number. Clara, somehow breaking her internet ban. I opened it, expecting threats or manipulation. Instead, just 2 words. You're stronger. Delete it? Diana asked, watching my expression. No. I pocketed the phone. Keep it as a reminder. Some victories don't need to be complete to be meaningful. The auction hammer fell one final time inside the mansion. Through the window, I caught a glimpse of the crystal vase's new owner, a young woman wearing workout clothes, her stance confident and unapologetic. Ready? Diana asked, camera raised for one last shot. I straightened my shoulders, feeling the weight of everything I'd gained and lost. Always. The photo she took would later go viral. Me walking away from the mansion, its windows reflecting not the past's broken pieces, but the future's endless possibilities. Clara's final lesson, taught unwillingly. Sometimes the greatest power lies not in destroying your enemies, but in transforming their weapons into tools of healing. My empire of strength grew not from the ashes of revenge, but from the seeds of understanding it left behind. And that, perhaps, was the most complete victory of all.